to the table and have to overcome racism, unconscious bias, misogyny. And so how do we help level the playing field for everyone?
Okay, so that means you're trying to create equality of outcome. That's what I hear you saying about playing God.
Yeah.
How do you create equality of outcome when people aren't the same? You're right. Some people are shorter, some people are taller looking over that fence. They can't both play in the NBA.
Right.
You can't create equality of outcome. What gives a DEI program the right to come in and try and alter the nature of things to create equality of outcome? That's been tried. That didn't work. That was called Marxism.
Welcome to Unsanctioned.
My education, for real, in the black church.
I got raised in the black church.
I was sort of raised in the Puerto Rican community. I had a close relationship with the Greek community. I am Joe Bidenopoulos. You all think I'm kidding.
White House girls send Biden to bed early.
I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
Because he's really old and he's senile.
I taught at the University of Pennsylvania for 4 years.
He makes up so much crap, the country's worried.
Okay, you're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations.
He's lying like it's going out of style.
I had the great honor of being arrested on the streets of Soweto.
You can't hide Joe Biden's lies.
I am a hard coal miner.
For a while, they made Saki try.
I used to drive a tractor trailer.
Thought by now they'd realize.
And I used to teach the Second Amendment in law school.
There ain't no way to hide Joe Biden's lies.
You have my word. I give you my word. I give you my word. I guarantee you, give you my word as a Biden. I 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 give you my word as a Biden. But it's just a bunch of lies.
That's right, John. He gives his word.
You gotta wonder if his dad was that kind of liar too, right? Like, because lying to that degree. Because he lied when he was younger, right? Like, we chalk it up to, like, him being senile. But, no, he was a liar. His entire political career, he lied. Yeah. He lied when he talked about being in the top part of his class, right? He was way deep in it. He was like, I think I would have graduated in one spot above him and from law school. He lied about pretty much all his credentials and everything.
Yeah, and it's been for years.
For years, his entire career. In fact, the only thing that he didn't lie about was the existence of some guy named Corn Pop. But apparently somebody went and found that there was, in fact, some guy named Corn Pop, and who knows why he remembered that one fact.
It's a total coincidence. Total coincidence.
Yeah. It happened to come on a yellow box, but nonetheless, I mean, yeah, what a liar. Well, welcome to another episode of Unsanctioned with me, school board member John Arguello, my great friend here, citizen Tom Lord. We have a great show for you today, and let's go over the headlines this week for this show. So, Dr. Phil, you just heard him diagnose a lady as a Marxist. What a crazy lady that was. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. You Can't Hide Joe Biden's Lies. Great song, right? Probably.
And there are more lies coming up in the show.
Yeah, it doesn't end. It doesn't end with the song. Mayorkas escapes again. That slippery, slimy little... The White House ripped over funding missiles launched to Israel. Of course, we paid for those. Monkeys pass Spy on Americans law. Man, what an absolute disaster. Disaster.
Unbelievable.
Democrats recruit Trump voters. That's interesting. Billionaire harassed over $175 million Trump bond. USA Today headline, changed to appease the Trump team, the Biden team. Of course, Trump doesn't ask for headlines to be changed, right?
Yeah, our unbiased media.
Our unbiased media, much less, right? Biden closes in on lie world record. We'll talk a little bit about lying more, as we mentioned earlier. Dance squad terrorizes the audience with American-themed costumes. The rapture. Yes, the rapture we all know. Caused by climate change, according to one moron. And the moon is a gassy, livable planet, according to another moron, Jackson Lee. New York could block parents from having a say in minor transgender surgeries, if you can believe that. What an incredible story that people are going to lose their right to protect their child from genital mutilation. It's incredible. And Beetlejuice, otherwise known as Mayor Lightfoot of Chicago, has been selected to investigate what a bad mayor is. Well, how ironic is that, huh? How ironic is that?
One corrupt mayor is going to investigate another corrupt mayor. Yeah.
Wow. And more on this episode of Unsanctioned America. This is episode 225, April 17th, 2024. Let's get right into the show. Oh, quick prayer, and then we'll get into it. Lord, man, we read these headlines and we laugh a little and chuckle a little over stuff that's going on, but we know that this is a serious, serious time. And we need serious, serious people to rise up and get involved so that we can bring this nation back to one that resembles a place of decency and morality, free from the corruption that we're seeing by these politicians and terrible actors. You know, it's horrifying that the people that are leading us are worse, the same or worse as the people in Hollywood. But we've seen that they are. So please, strengthen your American people, strengthen the people who love this country, make them rise up, stand up, get involved, take their part, and make a difference in their communities. In your son's name, Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into some news, John. All right, so and this is so deserving, John, this first story, and it's so true. I mean, if you look at what's going on across the pond, he's getting ripped over the sanctions waiver that critics say put billions of dollars in Iran's hands. And I wouldn't say just critics, it is the reality. I mean, it's the reality. This is exactly what's happened. You know, the Biden administration is being blasted for allowing billions of dollars to flow into Iran under a controversial sanctions waiver, even after Iranian-backed rebels launched deadly airstrikes against American forces and the Muslim country just directly attacked staunch U.S. ally Israel. Last month, the White House extended the waiver, a move that unlocked up to $10 billion more in frozen funds by enabling Iraq to pay the Iranian government for electricity services. This is according to the Washington Free Beacon. $1.6 billion since 2021, the Trump administration imposed sanctions on Iran's steel industry, which the Biden administration hasn't enforced. All right, that's number one. And we can thank Charlie Kirk for illustrating the timeline of these things. It's just unbelievable, John, what's going on with this guy and the things that have happened. You look at what's happening in Iran right now and how emboldened Iran is, and it's all because Joe Biden let up the pressure on them.
We were talking about this before the show. Everything Biden touches turns to feces. Everything. He can't get a single thing right. And what does that mean for our country? It means that our allies are getting bombed, literally, that our economy is in tatters. The American people are suffering, carrying the burden of everything, right? Trying to keep their lives the same, only to realize that things are not the same, right? They can't be the same. You can't operate as normal because Biden is destroying it. He's pulling the rug out from underneath our feet. You know, I have that big army truck that I drive around in, and that big army truck, people comment on it all the time. And last night at the Orange GOP, they were, you know, someone had said, you know, did you drive that in Afghanistan? Did you drive anything like that in Afghanistan? And we started joking about the fact that, you know, I would have had to have bought it from the Taliban because Biden left all that military equipment for the Taliban, right?
Yeah.
All of that military equipment, $88 billion, all that is basically a tax write-off and gift, to the Taliban and to terrorists around the world because they're selling those arms. So do those things, does that mean that those things are launched directly related to the launching of these missiles and drones and stuff into rockets into Israel? No. But what happens is it relieves the pressure. $88 million of munitions is stuff that they don't have to buy. And if you think that a lot of our military equipment is not in the neighboring country to Afghanistan, Iran, then you're wrong. Yeah. Half of that equipment Iran probably bought. That means they don't have to buy those things, right? That's beginning before the waiver. Now they give them billions of dollars. And of course, somebody's saying, oh, well, that's for humanitarian aid. Well, yeah, they don't have to feed their own people now. So who's going to pay for that stuff? Right? The people are going to pay for it. The aid comes. The Americans pay for it. We paid for it. I paid for it, and for humanitarian aid. And that means the government of Iran can now focus on its true love, rockets and bombs. Yeah. And it's crazy to think. Now, the shocking part of all this, and you're going to have to Google this. I don't think that we don't have the story for this and all this. But what we've learned is that Biden gave them a soft authorization to do this. And his word was, we'll have to look it up, but basically what he had said is that he can, don't go crazy, right? Don't go crazy. Don't go overboard.
Yeah,
okay?
they just kept saying don't.
Yeah.
That was they were lying for all this to Iran. Don't.
Yeah. So, I mean, these guys launched this, and now we have, we're on the doorstep of a world war. And it's all because Biden is simply the worst president we've ever had by far. No one can be as senile. No, as far as I know, no one has been as senile. No one can be as corrupt, right? No one has been, at least as far as I know. Yeah. And no one, but the most brutal thing is that no one is as inept as Joe Biden is. Yeah. He's terrible. He's terrible. That's why presidents do not make great vice presidents do not make great presidents, because they're not at that. They use the vice president as a specific job. It's not so that they can become president. It's not normally, right? I mean,
well, look at George Bush. I mean,
yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's man, it's rough. It's rough. Yeah. America's in really tough shape, and Joe Biden. We have until November to deal with it. So. So until January, we have Joe Biden.
I just don't even know.
Who knows what can happen until then?
What their obsession is with Iran and the Middle East. This really began back with Obama, if you think about it. Obama sent those plane loads of cash over there, right? Trump came in, he froze up their assets, and now Biden comes in and he releases all their assets and emboldens them to do things like this. So,
I don't think that there's a strategy behind it. It's just simply they do have a fascination, and they had Valerie Jarrett, who was one of Obama's advisors.
Was that the one that Roseanne got in trouble with?
Yes, yeah, exactly. and so she was, she was 100% pro-Iran, a pro-Iran policy, and they have a lot. She's not the only one. She's just one that was clearly, because she happened to be, I think, partial Iranian, but or Persian. I'm not sure which, but she. She's not the only one. They have everybody in that White House is like pro-Iran, pro-Palestine. It's just contrary to everything that America has set up in terms of its policy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, another thing that happened last week, John, was they went ahead and passed FISA renewal without an added warrant mandate for U.S. data. There was drama on the House floor because the truly conservative members were totally against this. But then you have guys like this who are fighting for it, John.
It would codify 56 more reforms. It would put in processes before queries are even made. It would put in criminal penalties for those who do not abide by those processes. The FBI hates these reforms, by the way. Please support this bill. Please do not support the amendment to require a warrant for queries. And I yield back.
Very strange.
Why?
Yeah, why would you do that?
How can you listen to what you're saying? Patch McCain is telling you don't warrant. Here's the thing. That's the whole. It's one of the reasons that the American Revolution started, was because they could quarter their soldiers in your home. They didn't need a warrant to come to harass you. And all of these things were part of the reasons that we had an American Revolution. And this guy wants to bring that here? Yeah. What is he thinking? Why is he not primaried and out?
Yeah, Dan Crenshaw should be gone. I don't know why he's still there.
I'm just shocked. I'm shocked.
He's been such a disappointment since he went up there. It's just
he has been, right?
Me.
Everybody's thinking a Navy SEAL.
It's a huge disappointment.
Navy SEAL, lost his eye in combat, and then he just turned into a lot of them. A lot of happens. It's a lot. There's a lot of people that just, you don't understand it. Mattis. Yeah. Look at Mad Dog Mattis. Everybody was so happy when he became Secretary of Defense, and what a sellout loser he was.
Another disappointment.
It's just, I don't know what it is. These people sell out. They just take the money and run. I don't know.
All the respect in the world to him.
He probably runs in a circle, though, because of his eye patch. I don't know if that's true or not.
But he's been wrong on so many different issues. And if you need a reminder of why FISA is bad or why it's wrong, here it is.
Good evening. Welcome to Washington. I'm Brett Baer. Breaking tonight, new allegations that the FBI overstepped its authority in conducting investigations against American citizens. And not just a few times. We're talking in the hundreds of thousands of times. Correspondent David Spond is at the Justice Department tonight with the breaking details. Good evening, David.
Brett, good evening. This story is quite something. This court document released just a few hours ago found that the FBI misused a popular digital surveillance tool on everyday Americans more than 278,000 times in 2020 going into 2021. We're specifically talking about Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, also known as FISA. It gives the FBI and other agencies the ability to digitally surveil without a court order or a warrant. We now know the FBI used the tool on people connected to the civil unrest following the death of George Floyd on the streets of the United States, those involved in the January 6th Capitol attack, even political donors. According to the court, a redacted name or names, quote, conducted a batch query for over 19,000 donors to a congressional campaign. The analyst who ran the query advised that the campaign was a target of foreign influence, but the National Security Division determined that only 8 identifiers used in the query had sufficient ties to foreign influence activities to comply with the querying standard. The judge.
So there you go.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a lot of legal talk there, but essentially they are abusing the law. They're circumventing their own laws. They're the ones that are breaking the law, not the Americans that they're investigating. We saw that they were investigating moms who went to school board meetings. Yeah. I mean, for Pete's sake, Catholics that were devout.
The FBI following them around and just craziness.
Yeah, I mean, Catholics, Roman Catholics, people who wanted to have mass in Latin. That was a reason for the FBI to be on you. I mean, when these kinds of abuses are there, it's 100% reasonable to completely disassemble the FBI, right? Disassociate it from the United States government, raise it to the ground, because it's lost its way. It's already, when the organization itself violates the Constitution, just get rid of it. And then they'll never do it, right? No other. Once you know that you'll lop the head off, you'll burn it, you'll cremate it, you'll bury it, they'll never do it again. And that's what we need to do, is we need to restart a whole new policing agency. And policing should be done at the local level anyways, but a whole new thing. Gone with the FBI. I'm in favor of getting rid of the ATF too, but get rid of it. Yeah. They're violating. If they're violating the Constitution, they're violating our rights. Get rid of them.
And this was all over just a warrant, John, just to require a warrant.
Yeah, I know. They don't want to tell us what's going on. I mean, it's crazy that they're willing to do that.
Yeah. Wow. So the Democrat Party is learning a lesson this election cycle, John, and some of the things they've done in the past are not going to work for them this time around. They're admitting the quiet part out loud. And he's losing support from usually reliable Democratic voting blocs. So there we go. An internal memo showing panic within the Democratic Party over its nonpartisan voter registration efforts, potentially helping former President Trump and drawing criticism from those who say the registration efforts were a partisan scam from the start. Democrats across the country have become increasingly concerned over the amount of support Trump is pulling from usually reliable demographics, and donors have been bickering over an internal memo casting doubt on whether the party should continue using nonprofits to register unregistered voters over fears it could help Trump. Indeed, if we were to blindly register non-voters and get them on the rolls, we would be distinctly aiding Trump's quest for a personal dictatorship, the memo explained.
No, geez, how
casting
dramatic.
doubt on the long-standing Democrat voter registration push that typically has resulted in favorable results in previous elections. So, yeah, this just shows how unpopular their candidate truly is, John.
I mean, it's all on them.
No.
It's all on them. They've created. It doesn't matter. Listen, Donald Trump is an imperfect candidate. I love him, right? You love him,
Yeah,
right? We love him on the show. A ton of Americans love him, right? Hundreds of millions of Americans love him, but not everybody does. He's not the perfect candidate. So why are they doing it? It's so bad. So you have, first of all, I think he's the perfect candidate for right now, but because he's not the perfect candidate, you would think that the more they work, the easier it would be to be him. But it's not the case. They've turned their own votes against themselves. You can't attack people's kids. Yeah. You can't attack kids in school. You can't, I mean, nobody's going to be in favor of taking a parent's rights before you perform genital mutilation on a child. I mean, they don't realize how far they've gone. And I've said it before, this may sound kind of conspiracy theorist of me to say, but I'm not even sure that they intend on allowing an election just because they're so bad. It's hard to imagine that this is their strategy going into an election.
No, I feel you on that. I agree 100%. I can't imagine that they feel confident going into this election.
They clearly don't, right?
I mean, no, not at all.
Yeah,
not
they
at
don't.
all.
They don't feel confident at all, and for good
there's
reason.
a couple of Democrats that are speaking out, like James Carville. He's the one saying, they have to end this stuff, this crap that they're doing, but they'll never end it.
But why don't they change? I mean, I'm talking about like the blue-haired, guy who tucks his junk. Why does that guy continue? I mean, even that crazy person who that they're crazy, that they're on medication, even they have to realize there's got to be some moment in the medication parabola that like on that line that says, okay, boom, I'm well enough right now at this moment to say we better knock this off.
Right.
But they don't. They double down.
No, they've doubled down because they've come too far at this point, John. At least that's what they believe. They had Obama. They had him for 8 years. They had gotten so much done. Then Trump came along, took all that away from them, and then now they got Biden back. So now we have to try and get it all back and even more.
I mean, I don't know. They are trying to get more. They got. I mean, it's mind-boggling that they would be super bad and be super greedy at the same time.
Yeah.
It seems like they can't get anything right during this Biden administration. Literally nothing. No. Literally nothing. I mean, and it makes you feel like they're doing it on purpose. They're so bad, it makes you feel like they're throwing the game, right? I mean, I don't understand. How can you get everything wrong? How can you get everything wrong?
Everything.
You got to get something right? Like isn't there a saying the sun shines on a dog's butt, every so often or whatever? I mean, come on. I mean, they don't get right. A broken clock is right twice a day. They don't, but not for them.
No.
The clock moves so that they're always out of time. I don't know what it is. They're just.
He's running out of toes to shoot off, John.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
All right, so the billionaire who helped out President Trump with that $175 million bond says he probably didn't charge enough. And that's Knight Specialty Insurance. They did not charge Trump a large fee because they believed the bond was not a major risk. So you hear that headline, you kind of think, what's this all about? What's he talking about?
So you're thinking about the risk being Trump not paying, right? But that's not the risk.
No.
That's why he's saying that I didn't think there was going to be any risk at all. It's no big deal.
Nope.
So
this
catch
is Don Hankey. He's the chairman of Knight Specialty Insurance. He put up that $175 million bond for President Trump. We thought it would be an easy procedure that wouldn't involve other legal problems, and it's not turning out that way. We probably didn't charge enough, Hankey told the outlet. The billionaire who supported Trump in 2016 and is backing his re-election said he has faced intense scrutiny from New York Attorney General Letitia James' office and other officials.
How is that legal? How is that even remotely legal where you can harass somebody who writes the bond?
Yeah.
Right? So basically they don't want anybody to help him.
Yeah.
They don't want anybody to do anything, to lift a finger, and anybody who gets involved with him. If you're associated with Trump, you're guilty by association with these people, and that's unconstitutional as well. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible what they're getting away with.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's incredible that they get to keep their job. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Hey, Thurman, thanks for tuning in. I forgot to give you the shout out last week.
So Hanky told Reuters, we have been getting a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls. Maybe that's part of the reason he had trouble with other insurance companies. And I believe that 100%. They're harassing anybody who would want to help him, John.
Yeah. Well, it was a gigantic sum of money, right? And I mean, I can't wait for him to win that case at the end of the day.
Yeah. So the USA Today, John, reportedly changes the headline on Trump's abortion stance after the Biden-Harris campaign complained. Unbelievable.
I mean, is anybody surprised? The media is fake. We all know that now. The media is fake. The media is nothing but the PR firm for the Democratic Party, and now we see that, right? It's blatant. It's open. The media is just this PR thing, and they're in a constant machine. And you know, in the PR world, in the communications world, you have the reporters, and then you have the media. And there's a line, even although the public may not see it very clearly, there's a line. They basically have like they're two sides of a coin. Now, when all of those parties are involved on the same team, you know, they all become PR, and that's what they've done. They're all PR. Yeah. So you can't mix those two functions. Otherwise, they just become one.
Yeah. So this was the original headline. It says, "The will of the people. Trump opposes national abortion ban, says states should decide." So on Monday, the Biden-Harris campaign manager, Julie Chavez Rodriguez, Deputy Communications Director Brooke Gorin, and pro-abortion advocate Caitlin Cash held a press call to discuss media coverage of Trump announcing his position on whether abortion should be banned. The states will determine by vote or legislation, or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land, in this case, the law of the state, Trump said. Many states will be different. Many states will have a different number of weeks. At the end of the day, it is all about the will of the people.
I like it.
So on this press call, members of the Biden-Harris campaign team slammed coverage of Trump's announcement. One particularly egregious false headline even said Trump, quote, opposes a national abortion ban and will leave it up to the will of the people. That's what the staffer said. That's exactly what he did say. I mean, I don't know. Did you catch anything different there, John? I didn't. USA Today covered the news with a headline that said, "The will of the people, Trump opposes national abortion ban, says states should decide." And the new headline said, "Donald Trump says states should decide abortion policy, avoids talk of a national ban, but failed to include any sort of editor's note explaining the change." USA Today's website notes that the story was updated roughly 7 hours after it was initially published, but doesn't explain why.
I could explain it.
I think we all know why.
Yeah, we all know why.
You don't have to look hard to see their bias. It's just right there.
There's a reason, yeah. They act like it's a surprise, but it's no surprise. I mean, if this didn't happen, we would be surprised, right? If they started giving him some based coverage, we would be surprised. But we're not surprised when they do this kind of stuff. This is like right down their alley. It's like Maxwell and his obsession with the with Carolina amnesty, you know. And that, I think they just finished the case, right? One of those cases came to resolution. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But one of those cases came to resolution. So no big deal, right? It came to resolution. But what is Maxwell doing now that his obsession is over? He's going to have to find something else. You know, he's going to start talking about her shoes or something. I don't know.
You might be next on the list, John.
No, I don't think. I'm not interesting enough. You know, I'm not interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not interesting enough. But, you know, I mean, no, why? It's because I fight back.
Yeah.
Right? They're composed. You know, they're very nice. They're very gracious. You know, she's super classy and composed and put together well and whatever. And Glenn Gilzean's the same way. Very classy guy, very well composed. Very, you know, like they take the abuse in stride and they look like, you know, like perfectly even keeled about everything, right? Not me, you know, like I pull my sword and I start talking about him. So I don't think they like that.
You would definitely fight back, that's for sure.
Yeah, they don't like to talk with people who say they're, feelings, you know.
No, not at all.
They're a typical bully, typical liberal elitist bully.
Yeah. So going back to the beginning of the show, John, and Biden's lies, Biden's bogus college claim is just the latest in a decades-long pattern of embellishment. And
I mean,
I think we all know that. Everybody that knows that. But here he goes again, you know. Biden has been scrutinized several times over the years for fabricating tales, including a claim he was arrested in apartheid-era South Africa, was in a helicopter forced down by al-Qaeda insurgents in Afghanistan, and even trivial events involving an Amtrak conductor who died before Biden's alleged story took place.
Or how about taking the train over a bridge with no train, with no tracks? So
many lies.
Yeah, so many lies. He rode a train across the Delaware in the water. This guy is just he'll lie about anything for any reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's a pathological liar. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
This goes beyond normal human behavior.
He did continue this trend Monday while speaking in the battleground state of Wisconsin as he outlined his plan to provide life-changing relief for student loan debt. So here he is in this video, John, and watch this.
I, like an awful lot of people in this audience, was the
lie.
first in my family to go to college. And
That's a lie.
Watched my dad struggle to help me get there. And
That's a lie.
All right.
I don't know everything he said was a lie.
So he said he was the first in his
Yeah.
family to go to college, right?
Yeah.
However, less than 2 years ago, during a speech in Pennsylvania, President Biden told an audience his grandfather played college football, and here he is talking
Wait, he
about
said he's
that.
an All-American. He didn't just say he played football.
Oh, yeah.
He's an All-American football player. That's easy to figure out.
Yeah, well, we have that. Here he is.
my grandfather, Finney Scamp, would really be proud of me right now. No, I'm not joking. He would.
You're
By the
not
way, he's an
joking.
All-American football player, John, in Santa Clara.
No, there you go.
This guy doesn't end.
It's just unbelievable, man.
There's nothing
This
he
guy.
won't lie about.
I mean, at this point, there's nothing you can really believe that comes out of his mouth.
It's pathological. It's there's an issue with him. And the more senile he gets, the less important the lie is. It's not even, these are issues that don't matter. I mean, he lies about things that have no bearing on anything. He forgets that this is not about him. For him, everything is about him, but this is not about him. The presidency is about leading the most important nation in the world. And he's up there lying about his daddy being all-American or I mean, come on, just everything is a lie. Being Chinese, being black, raised in the black church, being Puerto Rican, being called Bidenopolis.
Yep.
I mean, it's just never ends. Being a truck driver, for God's sakes. I mean, it never ends. This guy's the liar of liars. He got the crown. He's a champion. He's a world champion. Undisputed champion of the world in lying.
But not as a good liar, because he's not a good liar.
No, I mean, I don't know that there is a good one, but man, he's a liar. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. John.
Wait, he's not the only one though. I mean, like in Osceola County, we put up a fight. We have credibility when it comes to lying.
Yeah.
All right, Osceola County knows liars really well.
Absolutely. And we didn't, this was breaking news as the show went on the air, John. The Senate went ahead and killed the first article of impeachment against Mayorkas.
Yeah, man.
Reaction, John, what's your reaction?
This is a slimy guy. And he's doing the bidding of a president who's an absolute moron. And you got to wonder who's directing him. Who is directing him to betray his country to the degree that he is? He is surrendering our borders to the cartels, to coyotes. He's surrendering our American people to the scourge that is fentanyl. It never ends. This guy's responsible for so much pain and suffering in this country. Being impeached isn't enough. He needs to be tarred and feathered. Yeah. I mean, he needs to be deported and put into a Mexican prison or a Central American prison or whatever the worst prison is in the whole world. Put him there. I mean, this guy he's the source of so much pain and suffering in the United States. The American people deserve better, and this guy is just I hope that there's accountability for these people one day.
Yeah.
And I hope it happens in our realm, not in the realm of afterlife. But I hope that he has to pay. He has to pay at some point. They got to all be held accountable.
Me too, bro. Me too. Just reading the article, Chuck Schumer proposed a point of order declaring that it was unconstitutional. The article was deemed unconstitutional by a vote of 51-48, with Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, she is a Republican, voting present.
Man, this is when that majority is so important. This is so stupid. This is why they should not have gotten rid of George. What's the guy's name up there? And I know that he got himself into some trouble, but this is. I mean, these people are so corrupt. They're gaslighters extraordinary. And here's why this is related. You have such a slim majority in the House and the Senate. And you're throwing people out. It's because you don't want to lead. You threw away. There was a red wave coming, and you abandoned that red wave through your absolute. I mean, I believe that Ronna McDaniel, she tossed that red wave, right? It's like she was throwing sandbags on the beach type of thing. She was preventing it from coming. And she did it through her ineptitude, her corrupt decision making. When you spend $700,000 on flowers, you know that their heart is not in the right place. Yeah. So all of that to say that these guys are the uniparty, and they're working together, and that's why they don't accomplish anything ever. Right now, they're under so much pressure to accomplish things, so they're surrendering seats so that they don't have to accomplish anything. It's so important that we get these people elected, people who are going to be able to uphold their oath, their sworn oath.
Absolutely.
And to the Constitution. And otherwise, there's no hope for the United States.
Yep. Especially locally too, just like we have right here, because we have our own uniparty right here in Osceola County that gets one over on the people every election cycle. We need to end that right away. Before we go to across the nation, John, though, we have this important message from President Trump.
Always ask me, don't I wish I were debating him? No, I wish we were in high school, I could take him behind the gym. That's what I wish. I said, no. I said, if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be.
That you cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about.
If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
President Walker, how do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
When they go low, we kick them.
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
All right, John. So here we are, and that commercial there, that is a great commercial. It's very powerful. It illustrates exactly what the Democrat Party is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is a sham. It's a sham on the American people, and between Biden lying, right? And it seems like they take him out. Like, this is a guy who's like in a retirement home, and you take him out to get some sun, and he goes out, he lies about a couple of stories, makes some stuff up, and then they put him back in the room, and then all of his minions are destroying the country at the same time. It's never ending. No. And they are the party. They've done it so violently, all the gaslighting between Black Lives Matter, burning everything that they came in contact with, Antifa destroying everything that they've come in contact with, and then they talk about January 6th all day long. The American people see through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to take our first story to Seattle, John, and Seattle Dance Squad says they were told American flag shirts made audience members feel triggered and unsafe. The complainant cited the Israel-Hamas war and transgender issues for their feelings towards the American flag costumes. And we have a picture of them, John. These are these girls. They are the Seattle Dance Squad.
That's scary as hell.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
God.
scary. So scary.
Go run and hide. Run and hide. Over the weekend at the Emerald City Hoedown in Seattle, I didn't even know they had a hoedown in Seattle, the Borderline dance team was set to perform, but were essentially told they weren't welcome by organizer Rain Country Dance Association, an LGBTQ plus dance community, over their matching American flag themed shirts.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
I mean, these people, who knows where they're coming from? But go on.
Unfortunately, what our team was met with upon arrival was that our flag tops were offensive to some of the convention goers. There was a small group that felt triggered and unsafe. So at first we were told we would just be booed, yelled at, and likely many of them would walk out. This did not deter us. But then we were given an ultimatum: remove the flag tops and perform in either street clothes, which most of us didn't bring as they traveled there in their uniforms, or they would supply us with ECH shirts from years past, or don't perform at all, which effectively was asking us to leave. Yep. That's Seattle.
A convention where people have American flag shirts and then they are basically told to leave. This is where our country is going. This is it. The left hates this country. They're trying to. Why? We were just asking earlier. Why would they want to ruin the country? Why are the decisions they're making out there? It's because they hate this country. They hate this country. You can't make it more clear. We've set this story up for you from the very beginning. You have lie after lie after lie. You have policy after policy after policy where they're just ruining the country, messing everything up. And then here it is. This is the explanation that we've been looking for. These people hate the United States of America. They hate the Constitution. They want it to be dissolved. And that's what this is about. In the end, that's the end state. They want this dissolved. They want this country dissolved so that they can do something else. And that something else is not a pretty picture.
Yeah. They said it was a small group that was offended, all right? But the organizers...
But they're the ones that, they're
the
ones that control,
organizers were sympathetic to that small group. So they went with the small group who they said were offended and triggered by them. That's mob mentality. That's.
I mean, I don't even know what that is. It's just it's craziness is what it is, and the fact that we would allow it. Those people who complain should have been kicked out.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't like it, then go. You don't have to be there.
But there's no more adults in the room any longer. No. I mean, everything is about emotions and just silliness.
People just lost their respect. Some people, John, have lost their respect for the flag, and it's really sad, because you should love America, you should love the flag. You wouldn't have what you have if you were not in America.
I mean, certainly you can't be in Iran and acting that way, right? Yeah. With the Iranian, imagine if what's the guy's name, the Shah? Nah, they don't have a Shah. It's a theocracy. I'm just kidding. I know. Before you guys send me 500 Ayatollah. Texts about the Ayatollah. But so if you go there and you speak ill of him, you're going to be tortured for several years, like on a daily basis until you get used to it, and then they might release you.
Or chop off your head and drag your dead body through the streets.
Yeah.
Go try that with the Ayatollah.
I mean, what is it that these people are looking for? They should have been kicked out.
Yeah, absolutely. So, our favorite show, The View, John.
Our favorite.
Co-host Sonny blames eclipse, earthquake, and cicadas on climate change. And she was promptly shut down by her co-host. Let's watch this, John.
Hey, Karen Dupiche, our wonderful makeup artist, when the earthquake was happening, she put her coat on and she was like, Jesus is coming. I'm out. I'm out. I'm leaving. We've got a solar eclipse. We've got the earthquake. She ran down the hallway.
The rapture is here.
The rapture's here. And then also I learned that the cicadas are coming. Cicadas.
Although I love
for the first time in
cicada.
like 100 years.
No.
Two different. Well, this is what I read. Two different times.
Two different kinds of cicadas.
Yes, 2 different times are coming.
The good cicadas and the bad cicadas.
But for the first time in many, many years.
No, every 17 years this happens.
Well, that's not what I read, but maybe maybe you know better. But
in a
would
way,
say all those things together.
Here's the thing: how the hell do you get on the show
made one
and be
to
that
believe
dumb?
that either climate change exists,
that's more
or something is
returning. Earthquakes are not at the mercy of climate change. It's underground. It can't. It happens, and the eclipse. They've known about the eclipse coming because eclipses happen, and they actually can say when these things are going to.
Do they not know that math exists? What is wrong with these people?
It's a requirement to be on The View to be that stupid, John.
They don't understand math. They don't know that math exists. I mean, this is nuts. This is nuts. Cicadas. It was only 17 years ago. I've seen it happen 3 times in my life.
No.
All right? And the whole thing that it's special is because the cicadas are on different cycles, they happen to be meeting at the same time. It's all over the news. What is she watching? What does she get her news from? Like a cartoon? What is going on? How
she probably
dumb.
doesn't watch the news, and I believe it is a requirement to be on The View so you can be stupid so that Whoopi can look smart. So,
maybe that's the case, but my God, the absence of brain cells in that room on that little table there, it's mind-boggling. And then she's claiming, okay, so just to to make a long story short, the cicadas, the eclipse, okay, and the rapture are all caused by climate change.
Yeah.
I mean, it's moronic. Who watches this? Yeah. Who watches this? I mean, how many people put this kind of junk in?
Bored housewives, John. That's who
it would be more healthy for you to smoke crack than to watch The View. Smoking crack is like taking vitamins compared to watching The View. It will oxidize you to death in a matter of weeks. That show is for absolute morons.
It's like the television cockroach, John. I keep thinking every year it's going to get canceled, it's going to go away, and it just keeps coming back.
I mean, even we're talking about it, so I guess they're making money. And I mean, Jesus, it's just, Lord help them. Yeah. Lord help them.
Oh, well, we have another one, John. Sheila Jackson Lee tells Texas students the planet Moon.
Here's the next View host right here.
She'll be the next one, yeah. The planet Moon is made up of mostly gases.
The planet Moon.
Yeah, the planet Moon.
The Moon is a planet.
I had no idea, but here she is telling them that.
Smaller than the sun, and the sun went in a direction, and then the Earth. Now those provide unique light and energy, so that you have the energy of the moon at night, and sometimes you've heard the word full moon, and sometimes you need to take the opportunity just to come out and see a full moon is that complete rounded circle, which is made up mostly of gases.
Really?
It's gases.
And that's why the question is why or how could we as humans live on the moon? Are the gases such that we could do that?
What?
The sun is a mighty powerful heat. It is almost impossible to go near the sun. The moon is more manageable. And you will see in a moment, or not a moment, you'll see in a couple of years that NASA is going back to the moon with human beings. Anybody heard of that?
Oh my God.
Well, I know there's some humorously saying so, but we are working now in the Artemis project to take human beings, astronauts, to land on the moon. I don't think we've been on the moon in the last 50 years, so we will be landing on the moon. What you will see today will be the closest distance that the moon has ever been in the last 20 years, which means that's why they will shut the light down, because they will be close to the Earth, which is an amazing experience, and what we are supposed to experience, and I'm hoping we can, complete darkness. That everything will be shut out. Now, we don't have any animals around here to be able to, maybe we'll hear some dogs barking, how they are impacted. But you will be able to tell, because there'll be complete darkness. You have the legitimate glasses, do you not?
You have the legitimate glasses. This is a moron. This lady's a moron. Okay, the moon. I mean, did you hear that? Imagine if she was a teacher. What did she do? What did she do before she got this government job?
I don't know, John, but I know this. If I was one of those kids sitting in that audience,
I would have been laughing my ass off. I would have. You know, there's no way that I would have been able to hold a straight face. There's no way that I would have been able to hold a straight face.
Such a terrible speaker. I mean, just in general, just a terrible speaker. I mean, just horrible.
She doesn't know anything. How do you not know? How do you get that old not know anything?
Kids sitting in the audience and you know better than the person who's giving the speech. You know? I don't know, John.
The planet Moon. The planet Moon. A full eclipse is when it's a circle, Tom.
Yeah.
And it's almost impossible to land on the sun.
It reminds me of Kamala Harris when she talks down to people and talks to them like children. You know, she's like, you know, oh my God.
Well, I mean, if you wear sunglasses, you can get to the moon. Otherwise, you can't do it. It's almost impossible.
And it's almost impossible to go to the sun, John.
Almost impossible.
Well, I have a proposal. We get Elon Musk to build one of those rockets. We put all these liberal Democrats inside of it and send them straight to the sun.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. So
it's gassy.
It's gassy.
Yeah,
that's
gassy,
right.
Gassy planet. The sun is a gassy planet.
Oh man. So this New York ballot initiative, John, could block parents from their say in child's trans surgery. Unbelievable, John. It's just this woman here, Hochul, she's just unbelievable. I can't believe they voted for this woman. I hope they don't again. Any decent lawyer will take one look at the Proposition 1 language and say, you've got to be kidding me. Greg Garvey, the executive director of the Coalition to Protect Kids New York, a group dedicated to defeating the so-called Equal Rights Amendment, said in a press statement provided to Fox News Digital. This ballot initiative is written so broadly and so poorly that it could cause irreparable harm to children and families. This is no soft-sounding Equal Rights Amendment. It's nothing less than the Parent Replacement Act. So, the New York legislature passed the Equal Rights Amendment in January of 2023, bringing the amendment to voters on the November 5th ballot this year for ratification. Governor Kathy Hochul celebrated its passage last year, adding that New York would combat discrimination and protect abortion access following the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade, which ended the recognition of a constitutional right to abortion. So there you go, John.
Man, okay, so this is a lawsuit in the making, and more importantly, this is just sending your families out of the state, right? Okay, so we'll take all the illegal aliens, and you take all the families, states like Florida and Tennessee and Texas and whatever. What kind of parent would handle? Just imagine you have a 12-year-old, they want to have their genitals mutilated, because they fall into this leftist agenda, they fall in victim to it, and there's nothing that you can do about it. I mean, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. We're entering a world that nobody recognizes.
You'd think that the people in New York would be rising up against this, John. I haven't heard anything from people in New York. You'd think they'd be pissed off.
I mean, who knows if they're covering it, if they're not covering it? Who knows if they don't know the people? I mean, who knows? I mean, who would? Here's the thing. I would be arrested 500 times in New York. Probably not because they don't arrest anybody. But, I wouldn't be able to contain the disgust for my state government if I were in New York.
Well, we all know that they're leaving New York in droves. And for those people that are coming here to Florida, let me just give you a word of advice. If you leave the place that you came from, New York, because of the policies that are happening there, don't vote for the people that would enact those policies here. That's it.
Yep.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Isn't that what Biden said? Don't. Just don't. All right, so last but not least, John, one of my favorite people, the super mayor. The super mayor of Dalton, Illinois, is getting investigated by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who we affectionately call Beetlejuice. She is being hired to investigate Tiffany Henyard at $400 per hour, John. And here's both of them. If you forgot Beetlejuice and the super mayor, there they are. And the Illinois village of Dalton has voted in favor of a resolution to hire ex-Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot to investigate its own leader, Tiffany Henyard, who is accused of misusing taxpayer funds and various other corrupt practices. Lightfoot, who lost her re-election bid in a landslide last year, said she was honored to be tasked with the investigation of Henyard, Dalton's self-proclaimed super mayor. A reaction, John?
These stories get crazier and crazier. How are you going to have a mayor who got voted out because she's so corrupt? She's too corrupt for Chicago. This mayor was too corrupt, too inept for Chicago. And so you're going to send her to go investigate another corrupt man? What are the chances that they both just do more corrupt things together?
Right.
They're going to start a business on corrupt. I mean, it's just, my goodness.
Yeah. She started her own podcast, Henyard. It's called On the Move.
Mm-hmm.
And she promotes it at city council meetings. This woman is just unbelievable. She's like a cartoon villain, John. She really is.
She
and
is.
I have a prediction here. I'm going to put on my Nostradamus hat, and I'm predicting that Lori Lightfoot's not going to find enough evidence to do anything about this, and Tiffany Henyard's going to go on to serve out her term.
That's a pretty good guess.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good guess.
Yeah. So good job, Dalton. Good job there.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it, John.
Wow, is it 1 hour?
Yeah,
right?
right on the dot.
Right on the money, right on the money. So thank you for sticking with us. We appreciate all of you guys watching. Last week, we had a ton of people watching. So stay tuned for Unsanctioned Florida tomorrow.
Big Florida show tomorrow.
Big Florida show tomorrow. We're going to talk about a lot of things going on. So stick with us. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, God bless you. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you then.